Now it's just a waiting game. We're waiting for my co-host to get here. He's going to be our residential newbie, even if he doesn't know it. And yeah, I'm just chilling, listening to some awesome music. Be sure to let me know if the audio is good, if you can hear me alright. The music's not too loud, but you can still hear the music, so you can jam out to it with me. I have the Twitch stream pulled up on my phone. I'm waiting for it to fix. Okay, cool. It's kind of embarrassing to watch myself like head bob. I'll try to ignore it. Let's see. I'm gonna leave a little message in here. Welcome to the art stream. Oh, phone call from co-host. Hello, Cory. Yeah. So Sterling Pelham is in the first little area. I'm actually technically being live streamed at the moment just because I want to make sure I started on time. So I'm like giving everyone my address this time. But yeah, it's across from the Brewsters. Yeah. It'll be, so it kind of goes in a U shape or like a horseshoe shape. So it's on the top end of one of the sides. If you drive in on the property management leasing side, that's the wrong side. You'll have to drive around and come up on the other side. Yeah, and if you want, the door's already unlocked, so you can already you can just like walk right in and then like walk in awkwardly, like, is this the right place, and then find me, or you can just let me know that you're here and I'll open up the door for you. Alright, cool. I'll see you in a little bit. Alright, bye. Hey, well, I guess if you're watching this, you can maybe piece together some of that information and come find me. Let's see, welcome to the art stream. We will be beginning momentarily. Momentarily is a pretty cool word. I like it. Welcome to the art stream. We'll be beginning momentarily. Alright, cool stuff. So I'm super excited to be doing this today. For some reason, I've always loved the word or the phrase blast from the past. So I'm happy I got to finally incorporate that, because there's nothing much more related to the past when it comes to Vindicator Entertainment stuff than Otherworlds, because Otherworlds has always been a part of me. So not only did I get to use blast from the past, but I realized that Otherworlds has a ton of artwork done by a lot of talented artists. So I wanted to talk about that some, and talk about, you know, some of the amazing things about the art, and also we can dive into the lore and things of that nature, which will be exciting. And because we'll have Cory here, Cory will have an outsider's perspective, so he should, in theory, be asking questions that would be similar to the questions that you would ask me if you don't feel like asking me in the chat, or if you happen to be watching this video after it's already been recorded and it's no longer live. I do think that Cory may have pulled up. I think I see him walking this way. Well, sorta. I feel like he's walking like too far, like towards the dumpsters or something. I can't tell. Cory, come back. You can blame it all on me. Let's see. We got any viewers in here? It's always odd trying to speak like before viewers show up, because like if you don't speak, then when people watch it later, it's just you like not saying anything, even though that they're currently watching the video. But if you, like, I don't want to introduce myself and introduce this and that and introduce all these important elements, and then, you know, our live viewers miss it, sort of thing. So been sort of a tough thing indeed, a tough thing. I hate using the word thing because it's so like not specific. I always try to use the actual word that it would mean, like tough situation. I don't know, like especially when someone's like the thing next to the thing that's about the thing. You know, it's like, man, that's just, I hear that sometimes working in retail. It's crazy. So I do believe Cory is here somewhere. Cory! Yay, you found me. I'm in here. Yeah, I was too. Telling you to walk into a place you've never been to before. I'm back in this room. Woo! Hey.
Hello.
Alright, cool. Yeah, I can finally be joined by who I'm deeming as my co-host, Cory.
Woo! Nice to meet you guys.
Now, theoretically, everything should be set up perfectly, but I've definitely messed up things in the past. So if you can, like, maybe, like, pull up, would it be possible for you to pull up Twitch on your phone?
Yeah, make sure everything's streaming right.
Yeah, just make sure everything is good for our viewers. Because I've seen it in the past where, like, we'll have viewers and, like, they'll watch us and the audio is awful. Or, like, literally one time I streamed with Caleb and we were playing Keyforge, and we streamed for like 3 hours straight and didn't realize that we didn't have Twitch muted.
Oh,
so
no.
It did like the echoing loop thing, and we actually had more viewers in that stream than ever before, but the people were like leaving and then joining kind of thing. So we didn't keep any viewers and we didn't gain any followers from it, and it was such a missed opportunity. But it's because the audio was so bad, but no one told us, you know, even though we had so many people come in and out. Like all it would have taken was someone to say like, hey, this is messed up, we could have fixed it instantly. But yeah, see, I had the laptop muted. I thought that would work, but that does not work. You have to have Twitch muted.
Yeah. Do you have like an OBS going or something?
I do. Yeah, I do. So
yeah, I guess my problem with OBS is sometimes it doubles the audio too.
Well, I have it's XSplit Broadcaster, so I have the screen pulled up here, and then I have us right here, and then I have the little logo thing here. And you might need to scoot more in the frame, maybe.
Yep. All right. Looks like we've got everything working.
All right.
I've got my audio down, so. Yep. All right. Looks like we've got everything working.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, yeah.
Okay. Cool. So you can mute that so people don't hear that crazy. Okay. Cool. Well, so how's your day been?
So far, so good.
All right. Cool. That's good.
How about yours?
Pretty good. So for people watching, we haven't really gotten to hang out in a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, and he's never even been over to my place, and it turns out we live like, what?
3 minutes?
3 minutes
less.
away. He's never been here, and I've been living here for almost 3 years now. So if that doesn't say it, but you know, Cory's been texting me a lot lately, and he has a wealth of ideas. And I had the idea that it'd be easier for him to implement his ideas if he got a better idea of the story, the lore, the characters, what Otherworlds was, so he can sort of use that as inspiration to work with the ideas that he has. So whether you're someone that knows a lot about Otherworlds, or you're someone that's new to Otherworlds, or someone excited to create things for Otherworlds, this would be the perfect stream for you to jump on board with and watch, because we're going to go through the different pieces of art and use that as a jumping off point talk about the different things for Otherworlds. Now, this is a very interesting to me because the art's kind of set up randomly, and I don't know what's going to come up next, and I'm just going to kind of, everything's very off the cuff.
Okay.
But before we get into that, in case you didn't know, I'm Vincent Baker. I'm the creator of the Otherworlds RPG. It's a future fantasy role-playing game. It's meant to be very simple to play, but have endless depth of creation and creativity. Would you like to introduce yourself?
My name's Cory Goff. I'm a creative mind, friend of Vincent, and we've known each other on, off, and around for a couple of years now.
Yeah, probably like 5, maybe. But there's been a huge break after the first couple of years. But I'm actually very happy that you're kind of reintroduced into my life. So with that, our first piece, I want to start with this piece. This is the only one that was not random. It's because it's our newest art piece, and today is the first day that it's been debuted. No one's seen this art piece until they joined the stream just now.
Okay.
So this one I like a lot because a lot of the initial pieces of art that we'll probably see, you'll notice that it's a lot more static poses. It's a lot more. It's meant to showcase a certain race or a certain character, so it had to be like full body image. and just trying to show kind of like the most generic, basic version of that race.
Yeah.
So it didn't lead to like interesting dynamic action shots and things like that, so such as this. So out of curiosity, if you had to name this piece, I already have a name for it, but I'm just curious what comes to your mind.
Oh, let's see. The guy looks slightly Nordic, if I had to guess. Just,
Yeah,
big.
He definitely is meant to have a very strong Viking aesthetic.
Yeah, I was going to say, because the power armor, it looks like it's boosting the muscles. So, I mean, honestly, I'd call it like God's Fist or something like that, just because that guy's getting completely destroyed by that punch.
Okay. Yeah, I'm glad that you noticed that he is getting completely destroyed. The title of this art piece I deemed as Fist Bump. Basically, yeah, you want to be very careful. See, the Vikings love fist bumping, but you got to be very careful when you fist bump a Viking, because you're not going to be as strong as them, and you're just going to get utterly destroyed. Now, interestingly enough about the Vikings is they're kind of a new introduction into Otherworlds, but I want them to have a sort of a core theme in Otherworlds, and the reason why is because I have a friend, his name's Aaron. He absolutely loves Vikings.
Now, do you have a class build for the Vikings yet? Because this would actually go into one of the class ideas that I have.
So I don't necessarily have a Viking class per se. There's a Berserker class, which fits pretty well. We could have, so what's so cool about the Otherworlds class system is it's made of basically 3 different skill branches. And so if you're a Berserker, you can choose how you want your Berserker to be built. So if there was a Viking skill branch, your Berserker could have the Viking skill branch, or they could not, which would change what they have. But it'd only be like a third of them. But on top of that, even more so, if you could actually have the Viking skill branch, and then pretty much just specialize in the Viking skill branch and largely ignore the other 2 and just be a full-on Viking.
Yeah.
So that's why there's so much depth to the Otherworlds creation system. But yeah, like Aaron loves Vikings, and I've been running Otherworlds games. I ran them every week for like 4 years, and sometimes I ran multiple game sessions in a week. So I ran over 400 games of Otherworlds. This last, I'd probably say 2 years, I haven't ran. I stopped that. I haven't ran near as much because I put more focus on doing all the company kind of based stuff, Spellslingers, Legendaria, all the other projects, and then still working on Otherworlds behind the scenes, but not as much as just playing with people that get together at the game store. But yeah, I wanted Vikings to kind of have this. I also noticed that Vikings weren't really represented in some of the things that I was looking at, or a lot of the adjacent quote unquote competitors or like friendly competition.
Yeah.
So and I think Vikings are just a really good representation of like if someone wants to play the big hulking destruction, they can.
Yeah, you're a la Barbarian from other systems, because that's a lot of the issue when you get the big strong beef characters, is it's very hard not to build something that's just the beefy tank or the dumb muscle essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes a lot of work and a lot of like subtle mechanics to really get something that stands out in this individual. Like do you mind if I go into some of the concept class that I have?
Yeah, go ahead. That's what you're here for.
So the concept class I had for your dumb muscle, so to speak, is essentially the idea of squishy wizard, but as a barbarian.
Mm-hmm.
So like your main stats would be like you would get big increases to health, but what you would do is you would have a class that would do absorb damage from spells, essentially eating spells, taking the damage from the spell, but it boosts their power. And at certain health increments, it essentially increases the buffs that they get. So it's like they can deal more damage but take more damage, or they can attain more speed or more luck, or some kind of vague mechanic.
So say hypothetically they eat like a lightning bolt. Is that like a thing?
Yeah.
Okay. So if they eat the lightning bolt, are you saying that they would take some damage from eating the lightning?
They take all of the damage, but they essentially like convert the damage that they take into strength. So it's like, say they take 30 points of damage, or their team would. They could essentially eat the spell like a counterspell counters thing. They're essentially the counterspell. They absorb the damage and then they convert it into their strength.
Okay. Now, do you have an idea for if that spell that they eat doesn't deal damage? There'd be like a system for like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like if they get power, and the power is limited too. Like for example, say like they charge up like 50 damage or something like that. That charge and all of the stats that go up like progressively, they would last like say an hour or two, and then they would essentially have to take more damage or it would end the effects.
Okay. Interesting. I like it. Real quick too, not only did this art go live today, but we have new merch available that went live today. Now, the picture quality itself isn't the highest, so it's kind of like zoomed out, but it takes the same Viking picture, the fist bump picture, and it says 9 years of fist bumping, which is for the 9-year anniversary of Otherworlds, which is today, which is a big reason why we're doing this. So I ended up liking the t-shirt a lot. If you want the t-shirt, which supports what we do, it's at vindicated.storeenvy.com. You can pick that up. Like I said, it supports what we do, and we appreciate it. It's a really cool shirt. I actually meant to have it myself today, but I forgot to order it a couple weeks ago because I got so caught up with releasing Legendaria, which, as you may or may not know, I released Legendaria, which is another game, released it yesterday, which is odd because their anniversaries are now going to be so close together. So I might have to try to separate. Like, Legendaria in my mind was supposed to be released. Like, I put that the estimated release for it was April, so we might have to celebrate Legendaria in April and then keep May for Otherworlds, but I'm not sure. But anyways, if you'd like to support us, then you can check out the 9 Years of Fist Bumping t-shirt, which I personally enjoy, and I already bought my version. It'll just take a while before it gets here.
Okay, so this is the second picture.
Yeah, so, well, these are, now we're going to start the official, like, going through the pictures. This is all random at this point.
All right.
And there's probably like 50 pictures, so we won't be able to talk on every picture for like 10 minutes or something, but, you know, a couple minutes per picture should work. So, this is a picture of a Besk, which is a race in Otherworlds. They actually have multiple stomachs, even though you wouldn't be able to tell by how small she appears. And they also have this special trait where they can store food as energy in their stomachs in a very special way, to where it's like they can store it almost like a refrigerator.
Okay.
And then eat it later. So it's a very interesting concept where it's harder for them to starve out. On top of that, their skin is actually very naturally coarse and very like hard. So they actually have a very natural toughness about them. Also, they are meant to be very small, which is interesting because you can't really tell like her height because there's nothing to compare it with, which is something that I didn't really think about until she was being illustrated, and the artist was like, you know, I'm not, you know, it's kind of hard to tell, you know, it's kind of hard to do. But yeah, they're meant to be around 4 foot, you know, 5, 4'6", that kind of thing. So they're one of your smaller races. So yeah, her name in particular is Keen. She wants to be a sand pirate. She wants her own pirate ship. That's a big thing.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm getting a very pirate feel to it.
That's cool. That's actually cool because I actually came up with the whole pirate angle after she was illustrated too. They live out in the sands and the deserts and stuff. That's kind of more their natural world. So yeah, so that's kind of the standard look that a lot of them have. Here we have Reese, who is the founder of the Rise Corporation. He is he's kind of a narcissist. His dad owned the Rise company and then got hospitalized, and he's not in good condition, so his son takes over. And this is one of the main antagonists if you play the OSI Ruins, which is in the Otherworld 0 book that you can pick up on vindicateentertainment.com/shop. But yeah, he's kind of a narcissist. He has like a fun humor about him, and he uses more of his words and more of his political advantages than he uses his actual fighting abilities. But he's not a terrible fighter.
But he's more from like the corporate standpoint. Like he's good at fighting through others or through boardrooms than he is on like a battlefield, essentially.
Yeah, and if you're wondering too, like, oh well, he looks a lot different from the other person. Well, you know, it's called Otherworlds, so they're from different worlds. The previous character is from Dorrigan, which is sort of like a Wild West meets steampunk world, and this guy is from Anthos, which is this world where they have kind of these isolated cities where they've been building up a lot of new structures and they've been going rampant in technology. But outside of that, they kind of have it contrasted with these ancient monuments that were built long ago, and they're kind of coming to terms with whether or not they should destroy these ancient monuments in order to build more cities or keep them there. But also in those monuments and stuff, there's vast amounts of monsters and creatures and stuff they have to deal with. So it's this interesting like
industrial Egypt kind of.
Yeah, like in between the cities, sometimes it's not very safe to travel depending on how you travel and stuff. But of course, because they know that's a threat that they deal with, they have technology to help deal with that and stuff too. And I also like the idea that some of the corporations can have these like drop ships and they drop off monsters on people. Like in cages, they break out of cages and stuff. I thought that'd be a cool idea.
Yeah, kind of like a crowd control, population control feel to it.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. It seems like this music is quiet. Okay. Turn that up a little bit.
See, I'm not seeing anything in chat. Do you have anything on your side?
Oh yeah, I do. Why are you not getting stuff in your chat? Okay. So, Wicked Machination says, sits and listens as best as he can because junk internet. Laugh out loud, squishy wizard. Hey, Wicked Machination, are you sure that it's your internet or is it us on our end? We did test our audio and it seemed like it was good, but we definitely want to make sure the audio is good for the listeners. It should sound really good. Like, it shouldn't be like sometimes we have viewers say that the audio is good.
And then sometimes it's...
Well, yeah, they say it's good because they can hear that we're talking, but then when I go back and listen to it later, it sounds like trash. The audio should not sound like trash. The audio should sound like pretty good. So if it doesn't sound good, let us know, please. But yeah, so it seems like Wicked Machination does like the idea of your squishy wizard. Also,
actually, it's squishy barbarian, not squishy wizard, because I love the idea of a barbarian that's so strong, just being able to essentially one-shot himself through, or be as much danger as a wizard, but as powerful as a wizard. Because in these kind of games,
he's like an anti-wizard.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. He's like the no magic wizard counter. Because where wizards scale, they scale very, very exponentially. So by 9th, 10th level, you have wizards that can move mountains, and there's no real answer on like barbarian system. It's just I hit it with my axe till it stops moving. So it's like I'd love to have something where you can power up the barbarian, but make him feel as weak as a wizard while he's getting stronger.
Yeah, would it be called like Spellzerker?
I forget what I forgot what I had the like tentative name for it. I think it was like Snake Eater was the one for magic, and then I think it was Beef Eater was for actual like physical damage.
I like those. I also like man, I thought of it and then I forgot it. Let's see, Barbarian Glass Cannon ?
Yeah, pretty much. That's exactly the idea. Would be a Barbarian Glass Cannon.
I dig it. Alright, so this is the wonderful art piece here of Dorgan, the world that shit you.
I absolutely love it.
Thank you.
Is it a guy in a cactus suit, though? Because that's a very serious question. Because if that's an actual enemy, I would be in love with this place. Just like angry cactus people running around like... Ah!
So I will say, I will have to say, I did take that idea from some game I played a long time ago. So if someone ends up finding that online and is like, oh, he stole this, blah, blah, blah. The idea definitely was very much based off of some game I played on Newgrounds. Don't remember the name. However, to answer your question, it's not a human. It's like a monster, like a tribal creature. And what they do is they live inside cactuses. They have like cactus suits and they run around killing people and they're very murderous.
That is wonderful.
Thank you. I love the idea. They also have an obsession with nails. So they'll like destroy people's like fences and stuff and take their nails and barbed wire and
like
stuff.
Stick it in their cactus.
Yeah, and like use it to like poke people, and they'll like throw like shrapnel like spike bombs at people and stuff. Highly murderous and stuff. I just love the concept of that for some reason. And then there's this other creature named man, it's been so long. I think they're called Sly something. I can't remember what they're called, but they're Sly something, and they look like these weird like all like dark black creatures with these like glowing eyes, and they're very like skinny, but they kind of I don't know, they kind of fit the shape of a cactus, and what they do is they go in and they eat those guys, and then they crawl inside the cactuses in their place, but only after they eat one.
Okay. Kind of like a hermit crab, kind of.
Yeah, but they only eat those things, so it's like they're the predators of those. Now, if you're wondering, too, why this art looks so bad, or maybe you think it looks great, this is something I did. Like I said, you have to think. Otherworlds is very old, and this was like the first digital art piece I ever did. It might not be the first one, but it's one of the first ones. And so a lot of the older art that we'll see, we'll notice that's going to be more to this style and not the more modern style. But it just shows you the contrast of how far things can come.
Yeah, because I mean, it's like if you look at the old like Dungeons and Dragons stuff, a lot of it was from Gary's notebook, so it's not going to look fantastic because he was drawing it in like high school and stuff. So it's kind of like one of those just like improvement, and then you actually have like the funding or the interest to improve the art even more.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm happy that you love the idea for that character, and even though the art is not the best, anyone that's watching this can take that idea and use it for their Otherworld sessions.
Yeah, I just imagine him screaming like 80% of his life, just like this like low like.
So this is Zendala. As you can tell, it's dated 2010. So it, in a way, it seems like it was a long time ago. In another way, it seems like it wasn't. But Zendala is an enemy that my friend actually made to go with his character story. I can't honestly remember that much about this character other than him being the enemy. He has a scar on his chest. He is the vampire race. In Otherworlds, they're called Varathans, but they're the vampire races of Otherworlds. So he's just kind of this bloodthirsty, like, I'm gonna kill you, just menacing villain. Main antagonist over here. This is one of the races that are currently not in the game Otherworlds. This race is called Killanog. And they were on Frogna, which is this like giant forest and wildlands planet, but they lived kind of in the more marsh areas, and they were seen as one of the more predators and bad guys. They're meant to be kind of more like crocodile.
I was about to ask if they were more reptilian or draconic.
Yeah,
because it kind of also looks like the thing from the Black Lagoon, if you want to go way back.
Yeah, and I think I actually did a redesign of them a couple years later. So you'll see kind of how I redesigned them where they look less humanoid. Then we have this guy, which is way back in the past as well. He's from Yamanoko, which is it's like what if Japan had like wanted to do their own spin like Lord of the Rings. So there's like orcs and elves and dwarves, but it's all like through the theme of like this like Avatar Last Airbender kind of thing. This guy came before that, so he doesn't really mirror that exact example, but he does mirror the example of having like a future fantasy samurai wanderer.
Yeah, I was about to say just Robotech samurai.
Now here we have the Kadar, which is a race that's not in the character creation guide at the moment, but they are a race that is on...
Ooh, the art really pops on the screen cap too.
That's awesome. It's good to hear. So one thing that's cool about the Kadar is they're a race where they actually have a very hard shell, like a lobster or like a crustacean, and it's very hard to break, but once you break it, underneath it they take a lot more damage. So it's harder to break through to them, but after you break through to them, it's easy to just utterly destroy them. A lot of their people have a lot of fun playing in like gladiator matches and a lot of sports games, a lot of entertainment games. They have coliseums. They have kind of like a Roman feel as far as that goes. They have a lot of beautiful things in their world. Actually, their world is used as the Daari, which we talked about years ago, which is the most advanced civilization. Whenever the awakening happened and they could travel between the worlds and stuff, the Daari found this planet, and then they said, hey, if you give us some of your resources, we'll make this a tourist attraction. We'll make a lot of money for both of us. So now they have tons of tourists coming in. They have guides showing them the crazy creatures they have in this world. They actually have dinosaurs in this world too.
Okay.
So this world's like a mix of like crustacean people, gladiators, and like dinosaurs.
Crab people. Crab people.
But if someone's wondering why they didn't make the core rulebook, because when I made the core rulebook, or the core races in the game, I had to choose everyone's favorites. Unfortunately, the Kadar fell short of being in the favorites of people. So if you want to see the Kadar in the future, you gotta let me know, because they currently don't have much love, but I like them.
Yeah, because when you're releasing a game like this too, you kind of have to go with roughly like 8 core characters or so, and then you have stuff you can either do as your ancient lore or your forgotten lore, or for your expansions you can kind of add into it.
Oh yeah, and we're definitely going to be able to add different races and new lore and stuff as we move forward. This here's the Phalanx, which is they're like the nimble... see, what's funny about Phalanx is I've heard them compared to cats, I've heard them compared to foxes, I've heard them compared to goats, I've heard them compared to like dogs, like certain breeds of dogs, kangaroos. I've heard them compared to so many things. But I actually take that as a compliment, because the fact that they're not like, they weren't meant to be any one particular animal.
Yeah.
So the fact that people like have a hard time like necessarily pinning down what exact animal they are, I enjoy that.
Plus, as the world is expansive as this, you can always have like that cultural diversity too, where they do hail from different, essentially like breeds or family lines or something like that.
Yeah, and honestly, they were mostly inspired by Lombaxes from Ratchet and Clank. That was like my initial idea whenever I made them, because I'm a huge Ratchet and Clank fan. The Phalanxes, though, they're very deft, they're very swift, they're very agile, they live in the treetops. They're also from Frogna, where the Killanogs are. So these guys, you know, they're mostly scouts and assassins. Now we have the Xenia, which is another race that's not in the core, among the core races. The Phalanx are, but the Xenia aren't. And the Xenia I haven't really messed with in a while. I'm not even sure if they're currently canon, because this is so many years ago. Like I said, this is almost 10 years ago. But the Xenia are meant to be these artificially created beings created by witches, which they use corpses and dark magics to make these almost like bodyguards for themselves. They're just kind of like ground labor soldiers, slaves to the witches, and they're meant to be very menacing. They don't feel any fear. You know, they don't really feel any pain. So I thought that was a really cool concept for a race. Now I think what I might do, instead of making them a playable race, I would make the witch. If you choose to go down that witch's path, you could choose to create your own Xenia and have your own, like, kind of like play two characters.
Yeah.
That might be a better route.
Because I was going to say, these feel kind of like the, I forget what religion it is, but the golem, essentially. Just
Yeah,
kind of
I can
like,
see that, yeah.
I mean, it looks kind of like an elite from Halo, but that's probably just artistic styling, because I was about to ask if those were mandibles or not, because it's hard to tell with the mouth, because that would be a lot creepier if it had, like, the spreading...
Oh, yeah. See, it's weird. So it's interesting, too. Like, I've noticed, like, with sci-fi, they do a lot more creepy stuff. They do the mandibles. They do, like, the eggs being planted in people and chest bursters and stuff. And then with fantasy, even if they have scary stuff, it's usually like, oh, it's a skeleton, it's a zombie.
Yeah, it's very stylized.
Yeah, you know, and I personally, I'm not trying, like, I don't know. It's more for personal. I do agree. The mandibles thing would be a lot scarier. But I want to go for, like, more of a fantasy vibe with, like, some sci-fi elements. There might be something in the future with a mandible, though. It's just, it is very creepy. Yeah. I think that's why. It is very creepy.
Like anything that opens up with, like, more than one orifice, like if it just spreads out 4 ways, and you're just like, yeah, that's going to be a no.
Yeah. And I think before, these guys actually started off as being sentient. They weren't like the golem kind of idea. But I ended up liking the idea more with the witches and stuff, because at first the witches weren't really involved in the game.
Because I love the idea of them being like temple guardians or something like that for the witch.
Yeah, these like really dark guardians too. Because I know I told you the other day about the Garoza, which is more like the gargoyles.
Yeah.
And those are more like good protectors. Here we have watchbirds, which I
love this art already.
I'm happy to hear that. This is illustrated by Jared Sanford. He's a friend of mine. Now this is from Arkwin, which is a planet where all the cities are suspended in the sky, and is very steampunk influenced. And the reason why they suspended themselves in the sky is because a long time ago, centuries ago, the people were at war. Well, they became too advanced for their own good. They created these giant, indestructible war machines that started destroying each other, and they actually couldn't find a way to destroy the machines, so they're just destroying everything on each other's side, so they all had to retreat up into the sky. And now still below are those machines wandering around killing anything that's down there.
The hulking behemoths of the ancient age.
Yeah, and no one dares going down there. Now the watchbirds are programmed to fly around, protect, the different places. Also, on Arkwin they have different districts. So like the Hunger Games, they have different specialties. But unlike the Hunger Games, they don't actually have a Hunger Games that they have to fight and kill each other with. Arkwin is also the home of a lot of inventors, tinkerers, scientists, things of that nature.
They probably just have like a lot of like state government issued like birth control or controlled birth rate kind of thing. Like 1 kid every 5 years or something to keep the populace down.
Maybe. I don't know if I've dived into that part of it, but we could certainly talk about that at some point. I feel like there was something dealing with like them having to ration food and stuff like that, because they do have issues since a large portion of their world it's destroyed. They can't even go to.
Yeah, they'd essentially have to use like sky seeding or whatever it's called.
Yeah. So I think I did think about that at one point. It's just been a while since I've thought about it. That I can't remember all the details, but that sounds like something that's definitely in the vein of that. So this is one of the I believe they're a playable race now. They actually weren't a playable race to begin with, but they actually got voted in out of popularity, and I voted out another race because they were like so underplayed that I was like, I need to replace this race with someone that people like more. So this is the Destoka. They are beings that had a previous life, but now they can't seem to move on into the afterlife, and they're stuck into this world for one reason or another. Usually it's because they don't accept their death. They feel like they died unjustly, or there's a lot of mystery to it as well. They oftentimes don't even know why they are still here. But yeah, so they're basically like playable ghosts, playable spirits that you can
revenants I think is what they're called, or something like that. That's pretty awesome. I was about to ask if it was if that was like flesh or if that was wrappings.
It's wrappings. So we got that. Now here we have Vane, who is one of Abby's favorites. She is a vampire. This is before she becomes a pirate, though. But yeah, so she's a vampire. She's on Trancel, which is the world with vampires and the werewolves and all that stuff. And she's actually brothers to the current king, King Vexus. I'm sorry, sister. Sisters. She's the sister of the brother who is the king, King Vexus. I just saw you be like, well, that threw me out.
It's like, man, their family tree is going. It's waving in the wind at this point.
But yeah, so this is whenever she was like a hired assassin, but then she kind of went rogue, but then she gets pulled in by her brother, who says, I need you to work for me, I need you to go rope in all these criminals that went off to Yedrich, which is this continent on the edge of the world, close to the Black Sea. There's a lot of piracy going on. He basically hires her, gets her a group made, and tells her to go about her way and start stopping these different criminals. Which is one of the center stories for Into the Black Tides, which is an expansion that we're working on. Here we have Brisgar, which is the Leogan race. They're mostly a lion type race. It's perfectly fine if you want to equate them to being a lion. Now they do have some of the tiger stripe looks to them as well. They actually are part of Faragna with the Phalanx and the Killanogs. They kind of cover your big bulky race if you didn't want to play the Vikings. But before the Vikings were introduced, you pretty much just had these guys.
Yeah.
Which this guy is really cool. He's like a team leader. His giant shield he can throw around and destroy people with, like a certain person in popular superhero movies and comics. So yeah, he's big and tanky. So here we have the let's see, they're called Black Steel Golems. They're made on Arquin. They're one of their inventions, and they're meant to be very big, but because he's so like wide and stocky looking, he looks
very short.
Yeah, he looks like he's short, but
he looks kind of like Meta Knight, or about that size.
Yeah,
just like he's like about knee length. He's just like boom, your knee is gone.
Yeah, so I can't wait to put him in a picture with something else because yeah, he does look short. But this is also done by Jared Sanford, who did the watchword design.
I love his kanji at the bottom too.
Oh yeah. So this is some fan art done by my friend Patrick McGill. His name is Adelard. He is the character that he played as in my Otherworld session. He's a vampire swordsman. He kind of had the like a samurai aesthetic to him, which is pretty cool. Here's this is Aegir. He is the Vantikar race, which is almost like a dragon related like ancestor race. They're able to breathe different elements. He can breathe fire as like his element, hence his red skin. Also, based on the type of Vantikar they are, they have different shaped horns. So the fire Vantikar should all have horns that are angled downward like that. Alright, and we got Ajax over here. This was a character made by a friend of mine, who, funny enough, his name's John, but I knew a bunch of Johns. I said, I'm not calling you John. I know too many Johns. I'm going to give you a nickname. Well, his Otherworld's character's name was Ajax. So I was like, I'm calling you Ajax. And now, like, people I don't even know that know him call him Ajax.
Yeah.
Like, he gets called Ajax all the time. So that's cool. This is his character. A lot of his weapons are weapons that he got throughout his adventures, so he has kind of like an odd assortment of weapons. But yeah, that was way back in the day. And I know he's kind of holding the spear awkwardly, but what can you do? This is older me, or younger me, I should say. It's like older because it's in the past, but it's younger me. This is one of the gunslingers in Otherworlds. She's an elf, but they're a special type of elf. They're known as Rachti, and basically they follow their instincts. They follow their guts. They're very crafty, where they like to like salvage and craft their own unique designs and stuff. They like to be unique as far as that stuff goes, and they're also very known for having odd color hair that humans can't naturally have. And this was actually the concept art for Kaya at first. As you can tell, she has like her stomach revealing. She has like cleavage and stuff. She's like wearing short shorts, and I find it funny because I've had some people like criticize some of the characters in Otherworlds and say like why are the women dressed this way, blah blah blah. But I tell them the women in Otherworlds, I'm pretty confident that every single woman in Otherworlds has been illustrated by a woman, and not only that, but they almost always get drawn to be more scantily clad. And then I tell them to make them less scanty.
Yeah, I mean it's that weird rule when you deal with like anime, fantasy, far realm and stuff like that. Is you're always gonna have like that initial art of women be scantily clad because it's just like the trope of it, I guess. Is it's just always the buxom blade with a giant buster sword, essentially.
Yeah. Then we have Alesnia. She's one of the diary that we're talking about earlier. Well, also a thing too, I guess it wasn't even that they said that they were too scantily clad. It was them saying that they were too attractive, which is. I was like, honestly, if you look at the guys, like the guys in the game were very attractive too. I just, it was, I don't know, just making everyone look attractive.
Yeah, it's like, I feel like saying something's too attractive in a game that you're like trying to promote, it's like, so how exactly is that a bad thing? If you're attracted to the character, maybe you'll come check it out. But
But yeah, Alesnia, she's very smart, very intelligent. We actually have on our YouTube channel at Vincent Baker Games, we have the voice of Alesnia, who's a voice actress who's been actually picking up some speed. I checked up on her recent work. She's actually been voiced in some cartoons and some different YouTube shows and stuff.
Oh, get out! That's awesome.
Yeah, and the only reason why I got her to voice Alesnia was because it was so many years ago. It was whenever she first started. So it's cool that I kind of have like a famous voice actor and sort of be the voice of Alesnia. She did a perfect job with voicing Alessia. It's perfectly how I'd picture this character speaking. And one thing interesting about Daari is they don't use contractions. They speak very I don't know what you call the opposite of using contractions, but very like articulate and they're very smart. She's actually part of the council, which makes all the decisions of her world, and it's a very hard position to be in because only the smartest and best of the best become part of the council. However, someone killed her sister. Well, they said that her sister died of a disease, but she doesn't believe that it was just a simple disease that knocked her out. She has reasons to believe that someone has killed her sister. So she's trying to get to the bottom of it. She had to leave the council, and so she became an adventurer to figure that out. So this is a drawing I did of an anointed human. He's meant to be a part of Trancel. He has kind of like his holy sword, and they kind of have more of a lot of the humans there are related to the church and use that because honestly, when you have monsters in the night that are gonna rip you to shreds at any moment, you're gonna feel the need to pray to some sort of higher being or something because it's pretty tough. So this is Vivin, which is one of my characters that I made for myself a long time ago. He's also a vampire. He's meant to actually, his face doesn't have all the finished details on it because of a long, complicated story. But his sword, the reason why it glows is because it's called a blood sword, and it's able to siphon life from people, just as if a vampire could do. So they actually have this technology, thanks to the diary, and this advancements in technology, to be able to have life-stealing effects on their weapons. And we actually have him voiced as well. And he's pretty funny. One of his quotes, I wrote all the dialogue, and my favorite quote is Vivin says something to the effect of, he says, "I enjoy art and killing. Unfortunately for you, I can only make a living doing one of those things.
That's actually pretty great.
Yeah, thank you. This is a bandit, and also it's getting kind of hot here. So this is a bandit. He's part of the OSI ruins. Just kind of one of your generic bandits. He might be the only character illustrated in all of Otherworlds that has never been assigned a name or a story. Actually, you know what? That's not even true. He does have a name. He's just not specific. So in the OSI ruins, there is 3 bandits you run across: Asher, Brocky, and Misto. And so he's one of those 3, but we just don't know which one. And if you didn't know, that's a reference to Pokemon, because Ash, Brock, and Misty.
That's pretty great. I love his scrapped together armor too.
Yeah, this one's done by Zach Miller, who is another friend of mine. He's a really talented artist. He's really good at doing details. A lot of the characters that we'll see, I had a big hand in doing the character designs for, but I will say for this character design, Zach had a lot of creative freedom with it, and I just kind of gave him a brief overview of, hey, I wanted a bandit, and he gave me this concept art, so this is maybe even all his idea after me telling him about the bandits. Most of the other characters, though, were entirely my idea.
And before anyone asks, no, I will not be doing any art, because all my art looks like epileptic spaghetti. So
does it look worse than the cactus guy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, terribly.
All right. So this is Saul. He is also a Dari. He has a sword on his back. He has a rifle, and he has magic in his hand. So he's well equipped. With this picture, I wanted to showcase that in Otherworlds, it's not necessarily about the tech versus the fantasy. I feel like that's a common trope whenever a fantasy world introduces tech. I wanted to show this hybridization of both, which, crazy enough, I didn't realize Ruby actually does a really good job of that. I'm not sure if you ever watched the show Ruby. Yeah, so I didn't know that Ruby even did that. And I didn't start watching Ruby until like middle of last year. And I was like, man, Ruby did this whole time I was trying to do this concept.
And then they nailed it like first go, and you're just like, whoa.
Yeah, I didn't know Ruby was even doing it, but it makes me feel good in this. Like, on one hand, it makes me feel bad because I'm like, darn, I'm not like the one doing it. But on another hand, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like more justified because there's a successful show that's doing it, and it's doing something similar to like what I was wanting to do. And they even call it a future fantasy show, which is interesting because that's what I've been calling Otherworlds. And actually, I backpedaled a little bit and started calling it science fantasy. But I didn't like calling it science fantasy because the thing is everyone started thinking like Star Trek, but some people have like magical spells, and that really wasn't how it is. That's how like Starfinder is, if you've heard of Starfinder. But this is more like Pathfinder, but with some like tech elements, which is a lot more closely akin to, say, Ruby. So with Saul, I largely illustrated him because I wanted, or did his concept because I wanted to show that there's a hybridization of magic and spells and weapons and all that stuff. Let's see. So this is actually a picture of a wanderer, which is after the awakening. See, before these things were just these rocks with these runes in them, but once the awakening happened, all those symbols started to glow, and all those rocks and all these structures started glowing and became energized with power. And what these do is they allow you to travel between worlds, and this is the main mechanism between moving from planet to planet. Because of this, they realized that they were no longer alone in the world, alone in the universe, and they saw that there's demons on some planets, there's vampire like warlords, there's crazy stuff happening, and they're like, we might not be able to compete with this. We need to arm ourselves and make ourselves more of a threat so we don't get conquered.
Yeah.
So that's why weapons took such a precedent over everything else. Because someone asked me, I was like, well, if they have like machine guns, how come they don't have like spacecraft? And it's like, well, they might have like some spacecraft, but like spacecraft to travel between world to world is like so advanced in technology. Like we currently have guns. Now I will say like their guns are even beyond our guns in some ways. But my reasoning for that is since they already have means of transportation that's so readily available, like if we could travel between worlds by a click of a button on our phone, I don't think we would create a spaceship. You know, like we wouldn't have the need to it. Like you create what you have the need for. Also, I noticed it got really quiet because the music stopped apparently, or maybe it's just.
Yeah, I think you turned it down a little bit.
Okay, I turned it down too much. I think some of the songs are a little bit more quiet than others. Okay. So, also a fun fact is this is actually a Kaya's hand. Same gloves and everything. So a lot of people, I don't think anyone else knows that. Okay, so we're back to her. I think we still have more art. I think that, okay, yeah, we still got more art. So this is a piece of art I never got finished because I didn't really have the funds to finish it. But this is my friend Aaron, who I talked about before. This is his Viking character busting through the city where the governor who's in charge is standing right here. And he's just like, what's going on? And this guy comes in with his battle cattle, which are actually, they were undead battle cattle because he took from, it's a crazy story. He took it from the underworld and he came in with this like chariot, came blazing in, and he took over the entire city. So I feel like this will be illustrated at some point. But yeah, that's that.
That is pretty awesome. I love it.
And what's funny too is like he was expecting the guy to put up a fight, and the guy's like, all right, here you go. Here's the paperwork. Let me sign this for you. I think you're more capable than I am.
He's like, you know what? I've needed this vacation for like 10 years now. You are welcome to this city, good sir.
Exactly. So he took it over, so good on him. This is a color alteration on the Black Steel Golem. Now, I'm not sure if I like this color or the last color better. Do you remember the last one enough to give me your opinion?
I like both. Like, I like to think of it maybe as it's like an activation phase. Like, this is passive, and then that's like...
Oh, that's a cool idea. I think I have another color, though.
Yeah, so it's like each color could represent like a, like essentially, like, say they're like a temple guardian or something.
Uh-huh.
Like, blue would be passively roaming, this color would be aware of the presence, and then the last color would be you done goofed.
I like that. Because before you said aware, that makes a lot more sense than what I was thinking. I was thinking of them being like, I'm kind of like angry. Also, this giant mace he has here actually can detach and become like a flail, so he can like swing it and it'll like smash to the ground and then like retract back to him.
See, I was thinking it was a tire the whole time, and I was like, that would be an interesting like
like it
snaps
spins
in
or
front
something?
and he like
do
do
no.
like a charge or something like that.
No, it's just a giant mace that turns into a slamming flail.
That's actually pretty awesome.
Let's see. Well, that's what's so good about the art stream is I get to clear up some confusion. So if someone sees it, they get in there. So this goes back to those giant metal robots. I did this a long time ago when I had the idea. This is obviously really old. So it's like like 10 years ago.
I love the tree for scale too.
Yeah, I was like, I got to do the scale so people know how tall this is.
Is it bad? I thought it was one of the cactus people at first.
Actually, the cactus people, the predators that kill the cactus people actually, like, face-wise look similar to that. But yeah, this is like my initial concept of the giant robots, down below. And I guess if that's 45 foot tall, then that would make this guy like
900 or something like that. Who knows?
Yeah, hundreds of feet tall. So yeah, there's that. So this is a Terra. She is a diary as well. So we have a few illustrations of a diary. She has a wanderer right here. So she's an otherworlder. Also, people that have wanderers and their adventures and stuff in otherworlds, we call them otherworlders because it works.
Yeah.
And I was watching an anime called Reincarnated as a Slime or something. In the first episode, they mentioned people as like otherworlders, and I was like, had not heard anyone else use that term until just now. So people are going to think I copied this show, but I did not.
And see, I'm just like one of those where it's like I just have a mind for just the random situations sometimes of artwork. So it's like looking at this, she's like, well, it looks like I've made a terrible mistake, because she just like bamfed into space and she's just like, huh, unexpected occurrence.
Yeah, so what's funny is there is actually a chance to teleport into space and die. So you have to make sure whoever uses it is highly intelligent and proficient with technology. And if they're not, then you can get like sent out to the void and die. And of course, whoever's running the game, if they want to be very fair, or I won't say fair, if they want to be very generous, they can let you re-roll or not apply those rules. I tried to make it very hard to have that happen. Like, it would take someone like really dumb, like taking it from you and be like, I'm gonna use this, and turn it, and then
your too intelligence barbarian just decided to poke it and see what happened, and suddenly he's in the void of space.
Yeah, and the main reason to have it too isn't to have people die from it. It's to have it. It's mostly to have it because there's an interesting dynamic where the extreme is you end up in space, but alternatives is that you end up on a different continent on the world you meant to go to,
Or even
or
a
the neighboring
different-
city.
Yeah, neighboring city, or possibly even like a different world itself, just by a
Exactly.
random chance.
Exactly. So largely, in playtesting it, we've pretty much always had people land within the general the general area of where they wanted to go. You know, because they knew better and knew not to have the dumbest person using it. So this is a very old picture. This is a trio of vampires that were bad guys in the story. I believe this guy's name is Bronca. I believe his name's Jareth, and then and her name's Mary. And then the story, Bronca dies, Jareth gets beheaded, and Mary ends up converting to being good-ish and ends up marrying Ajax.
So does the beheading not kill him?
Until it kills him. Yeah, no, it kills him.
Okay. Because when you said, you're like, he gets killed, he gets beheaded, so I'm like, okay, so I guess he's just
I was
like
hoping it was-
Futurama
no,
head in the
no,
jar.
I was trying to imply that he was killed too. But yeah, he died. But yeah, there's some story with like Ajax marrying Mary, and she's not entirely good, so it's like he's kind of married to like a
Check
villain.
out the color on the screen though, like compared to the computer. Like it actually does have a lot more pop to it.
Oh, it's also probably because I have that probably helps. Well, here, I'll turn it down in case I don't want to like make that a lot worse. But yeah, so this is my initial concept of Brisgar. So he looks kind of derpy, but you can see how he turned out is largely like based off of this concept.
Yeah.
He has a shield, he has a gem here, he has the machine gun, he has like similar armor, similar look, has like the braid and everything. So that's just an example of some of the concept art. So this is an interesting little mini game I made for Otherworlds back in the day. This is something that's never been released, but one of my friends, his character's name was Brawley, and I gave them each an ultimate. His is called Storm of Saws, because his character had a double-sided chainsaw staff, and he could sit there and create like a whirlwind of like saw blades or something crazy.
All right, I'm down for that.
And this is played as like a tactical, like almost like a like an RTS game, but as a board game. And they each controlled their own battalions, and they sent them in, and they each had different perks. And then as they accomplished certain objectives, they got points that they could then use for the ultimate. And so this is just one of the characters for that, which my design for him was largely based off of Ratchet's Deadlock look.
Yeah.
Oh, and funny enough, this character, by the way, is also a vampire. You just can't tell. He's like a vampire bounty hunter, which is pretty cool.
I've already got a name for this. Solar Bear.
Okay, so in Otherworlds, there's a cool thing called variants, and the idea was largely inspired by Borderlands. So in Borderlands, you can encounter a monster, and sometimes that monster can have fire elements, sometimes it can have lightning elements, sometimes it can be bigger, smaller. So I actually have a system in Otherworlds where you can randomly generate different attributes to each enemy that you face.
Yeah, just so it's not feel like you're fighting the same thing over and over again. You have a little bit of a random threat to it, or a random, like, just a natural feel to it.
Exactly, especially if you end up having like an enemy that's usually weak to fire, but then they come out and they're made of fire, and it's like it changes completely how you do things. So the name of this creature is called a Tear Bear, at his base form, but of course since he has the fire, he's more like a fiery Tear Bear, or as Cory wants to say, a Solar Bear, which I don't mind that at all. It's a pretty good name. So this is the initial concept art for a character named Kara. If people may have seen her finalized art before, the main difference here is her blade is pointed downwards, and we had it changed to be pointed upwards because I was afraid it made it look like she was trying to sweep.
Yeah, I was about to say, it looks kind of like an oar if you...
Yeah, or like an oar, and I didn't want that. So in her final art, it was reversed the other way. Yeah, there we go. So there's the final art. So yeah, ended up liking that a lot more. She actually lives in Arkwin. She's part of the religion district.
I was about to say, she kind of looks like a cleric monk.
Yeah, she's part of the religion district. Now, what's interesting about her is she had this interesting mark appear on her body known as the Zodokar, like a Zodokar mark. And her parents basically told her it was nothing, nothing to worry about, stuff like that. But then an attack happens in their city. Brisgar, Saul, and Akaya come in, help save the city, but one of them get very injured. Kara comes in, just kills one of there's these like large insects that attack. She kills one of them, and then she heals, I think it was Brisgar. We actually have her story available for free. You can read it at VindicateEntertainment.com. But we have her entire origin story, which is pretty interesting. Now this is a combat bot, or Combot, and they were made by Rise Industries. Just generic kind of robot that fights things.
I like it. I like that they actually like put robot hair on it too.
Yeah. This is the concept art for Vane. So Vane was the vampire chick you saw earlier.
Yeah.
You can tell that the artist. So this is what I did, and the artist obviously did a better job than me. But you can tell that the pose, you know, she modeled the pose the same, the guns, the blade, everything like that.
Oh, I like this.
Yeah, so this is another one from Jared Sanford. This is a monster that's not been... I'm not sure if this has actually been shown really to the... I shared it to a group like in 2015, but I don't think I've shared it or shown it to anyone ever since. Currently, this monster doesn't have a name. They don't really have anything much about him, but Jared kind of invented this monster for Otherworlds. So, I in my mind, there'd be kind of these tiny insect things. Well, not like super tiny. They'd probably be like the size of like a cat.
I don't know. I want that thing. It's like
You want it to be like super massive?
Well, I want them to have like a variance, and this be like essentially either like the hive mother or like just like the main like I think if I had to call it something, I'd call it like a slip beast or something, or a slip bug, something that like goes through like a slipstream and travels and then just like because it has that very like bull beetle look to it. Because I can't tell if those are antennas or if they're spikes, and I can just imagine it just doing like an impale and then just tearing.
What if they're both?
Oh, that's terrifying.
Antenna
I like
spikes, like...
Yeah, they harden or soften as it
yeah.
needs, so it can like whip you or just like suddenly like solidify them and just gore you.
Oh man. Would it be too much to say that they could like stretch and like wrap around people and pull them
Oh,
in?
that would be great. And then it like tears at you with the mandibles or like hits you with the spike on its head. Like these things would be nasty.
And for some reason, I'm not sure if I saw that maybe he did an alternate version. Maybe it'll be the next picture. I don't know. But I feel like I've seen a picture, or maybe it's just in my mind, it's so vivid, that there would be like crystals.
I was about to say,
that
those
could
look kind
grow,
of like
or something could grow out of this.
Yeah, that looks very proto-wing too. Like you could have like a alteration of it where it can fly, which would be terrifying.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Actually, this might even be we may even say this is the monsters that attack the city.
Ooh, they could call it, another thing you could do with it is you could call it like an advancer beast, like something that starts as like a small like house cat size and slowly advances and like rapidly evolves to like get deadlier and deadlier.
I like it. So these are daggerbacks, which I will say I took this pose from like a Borderlands skag back in the day when I illustrated it. The idea behind them though is very different than a skag. They don't have the mandible things going on. They have like quills on their back and they can shoot them off like a
porcupine,
a fantastical porcupine or something. And they're meant to be fairly like hyena-ish as far as behavior goes. So they're very like ravenous and attacking. Now what's interesting is I gave them like two toes. I don't know what to call that.
Bifurcated, I think, is what it is.
They're bifurcated. So this is a sketch of a Dandrick. I don't think we've seen a Dandrick yet through these photos. They are part of the Wild West steampunk world. A lot of them are kind of like gunslinger types.
I was about to say, definitely getting a gunslinger vibe.
Yeah.
Hardcore McCree kind of feel.
Of course, this guy had something happen with him where his eye looks blinded and he looks a little scarred.
He took a lightning shot.
Yeah, and they're supposed to have some like doggish kind of features. They have downward ears. They're meant to have like a little bit of fur, but the girl character that was illustrated, it doesn't look like she has any fur at all. So, we'll have to see with that. But they also have like a dog-like nose. They have very keen senses. So this is a tribal creature known as a Dandan. They are kind of like your cavemen, like very murderous cavemen though. They only know how to construct simple tools, and they go around and just savagely beat people and eat them.
Please tell me that's a bone mask.
It is a bone mask, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. And then we have another variant of the Dandan, which this was illustrated many years later, which these are the Dandan Titans. They're either called the Titans or the Brutes. I think they're called Brutes, actually. But yeah, Dandin Brutes.
The thing that gets me about this is just a random aside is I forget what it's called, what the guy's called in Crash Bandicoot, but it looks like the Crash Bandicoot mask with like muscled arms, just like
Booga booga.
booga booga.
What's cool about that? I always love the way like tiki mask and stuff look. So I'm completely cool with that. These guys are actually also on the world with the cactus people and the Wild West gunslingers and stuff. So something tells me you'd have a lot of fun playing.
Oh yeah,
that world.
which I mean, with me as a mind for comedy as well as just like fantastical realms and stuff, it's like I could see like this guy like working at a tiki bar part time, just have him in a really random scenario, and it's just like so themed that it's ridiculous.
Dude, that would make such like a good like 1-page comic for Otherworlds. Like just him working at the tiki bar. I'd love that.
Tiki's tiki bars.
So this was the initial draft of them.
Yeah, it looks so good. Like I love that art style. I love the idea of these guys.
All right, so here's a recoloring of the Destoka. Did you like this coloring or the other one better?
Honestly, same thing with the robots. It's like I feel like this would be like maybe different motivations or different like different ways that your spirit were trapped. Like red was maybe like more towards vengeance or revenge, and the purple being
dude, it could be like lightsabers or something, like where the Jedi like craft lightsabers and the colors are based off of different things.
So is the purple just Samuel L. Jackson?
Look, I'm tired of dying in this
I'm tired of these deaths on this planet.
Okay, so this is actually the initial art that I did for the Destoka. The one that we saw before it was the redone version by Hanidiot. This is my initial one.
I really do love that. Like, I love the separation for the spirit showing through too, because maybe that's like a damage aspect to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really love the glowing effect this person added.
Yeah, like it really shows the spirit pieces. It's like I feel like their death would be unraveling and their spirit just like floating away unfulfilled with their quest or something, just like lost into the void of vengeance.
Oh, here's one that I did too. This is actually probably the original one. And this is actually a pretty cool piece. I actually like this one a good bit for like my not so talented art skills. I actually like this one better, I feel like, than I still like that, like the overall look, but like this one, like as a piece, I feel like it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm more sold on this one than the other one, because this one actually has that like feeling of him needing that vengeance, because he's like, I'll unravel myself to get to you.
Yeah, I love, because that's like, if you just saw this part, you might not necessarily think he's a spirit or anything, but when you see this happening, you start to question it.
Yeah, because I mean, you could even add backstory to this, because again, it's just the mind of it. It's like they could call it like the unraveling, where it's like as they get closer to their goal, or it's like as they like deviate from their goal, they start to unravel and come undone because they're just like straying from their path.
Now you're making me want to buy the rights to Unravel. Have you heard that song? There's a song called Unravel that's like one of the best anime openings of all time.
No, dude.
Okay, after this stream, I'll show it to you. It's one of the best openings. It's called Unravel. It's fantastic. But now I just want to listen to that.
Ooh, I like this.
Thank you. So this is a piece of art of a demon known as Duraxis, and actually down here is Akaya. She has her two little revolvers gleaming, and that's one of her arch enemies, because he knows that Akaya is part of this bloodline that carries some sort of celestial blood within them, and to demons, celestials are like the bane of their existence.
Oh, dude, you could use that with the rune touched one I was telling you about. Or the rebirther class, where they actually are carrying like a bit of a deity inside of them.
Yeah, that could work. So he went and killed her entire family, thinking he had killed her as well. Ooh. But she is stowed away. She comes back, 20 years later, and she's like, "I'm here to kill you." And so this is kind of like their face-off. And I plan to find a way to like incorporate this in the main story at some point too. But I really love the whole idea of that.
Plus, you could always have something with it where you have that weird... Because sometimes with RPGs, it's like people always do it where the characters have to be the one that saves the day. Mm-hmm. And I'm one of those people where it's like, I'm fond of breaking like the mold of expectations. So it's like, your characters aren't doing this final showdown. She's doing that showdown. They're doing some like auxiliary thing where they can like see it in the distance, but they can't get to it.
No, I completely agree. I love the idea of that. And it's crazy that you say that, because I actually don't know of any RPGs. Like, I don't know of any. Like, I literally don't know of anything that's done that, aside from a Lord of the Rings video game, that they had it where whenever the there's a moment in one of the movies where these creatures fall, and then Frodo and all them are up top, and then the people down below are like, crap, what'd they do? And then you have to fight that kind of. So that's cool. But like, I don't know anything else that's ever played into that. But I love the idea of that like so much, because in my mind this stuff is canon, and I don't want to like be like, all right, well let me remove this character who's canon and put your character in that place, and then everyone has that same moment kind of thing.
Yeah, because
like you get to experience your own canon moment that surrounds these actual moments happening.
Yeah, because then it has like the pitfall of World of Warcraft, where it's like, congratulations, adventurer number 52, you beat this really important person's quest line. So yeah, she really did it. But you helped. It's
like everyone's special, but in the same exact way, so it's not really special. But with the way that I want things for Otherworlds to be, is everyone to feel special in their own way. And to further accent that point, is we actually have a channel on our Discord that's very new. It hasn't really been used at the moment, but basically what it's there for is whenever people play Otherworlds or they play any of our other games, they can list their stories and their personal experiences in the channel. And it has a chance of becoming actually canon. It has a chance of actually materializing into something that gets printed into one of the Otherworlds products.
Yeah.
And I'm also working somewhat behind the scenes on a Otherworlds card game, and that's going to be having a card game will make it easy in a way to incorporate some of these elements. So, for example, if in someone's story they manage to take down like 23 demons barehanded, then there can be a card called 23 demons down barehanded, and like, and then the flavor,
like the flavor of it.
The flavor text could literally talk about how this character, who's one of our fans, like one of the people watching us right now, they can literally like have that character's name mentioned on the card. And personally, I feel like that's one of the coolest things ever. Like I like having an actual role playing game that's actually like community driven, where people have like more of a voice, more of a say, and it actually has an actual impact on what we do.
Yeah.
I feel like is something that I haven't seen before. And
yeah, like a piece or a tale or a reference to something that you've done in the game. Even if you never get to see it in your game, the fact that someone else gets to see it is something that makes you feel connected to the game.
Mm-hmm. So this one, I didn't like necessarily how this person looks a little too stocky and stuff, because it's supposed to be Rosaline, who we haven't seen yet. But this is on the Dorgan planet. Dorgan, which is the steampunk Wild West planet. So you have the cactus everywhere, the cacti. And they also have like a spaghetti junction of like railroad tracks that will like go into the city. So interesting stuff there. This is a Dovor, which is a monster on the Gothic horror planet. I can't remember a lot of the lore I had for them, but I remember that they were very like vicious, as with most of the monsters in the game, because that just makes it more fun when you're adventuring around. You don't want everything to be passive.
Yeah, and the teeth really sell it. Oh, I'm so glad you've got dragons. You have no idea.
I'm happy. I'm happy to hear. Yeah, the teeth. The teeth are very. Like they'll mash you. Like they're not very like carnivorous.
It's kind of like the annoying orange, where it just has that slight offsetting thing because of the teeth more than the look of the creature itself.
Yeah. Now I will say the dragon did not come with this background. I just slapped the dragon onto the background, so it might not necessarily match perfectly.
But you have no idea how much I've been wanting to write something with dragons. And I'm like, oh crap, I can't remember if dragons are in this or not, but I would love to do something with dragons.
Yeah, there's definitely dragons. So with there being multiple worlds, there's some worlds that have dragons, some that don't. Brutana, which is the one with the dragon people, they actually like worship dragons and look up to dragons as like their leaders and stuff. They have the most dragons. On Yamanoko, each of the 4 villages, like the Land of Fire, Land of Earth, they each have a representative dragon that represents that element. And on Zepidin, which is the planet with the elves, they're like scavengers and stuff, there's actually living metal that's like this like liquid metal that coats itself on the things and binds itself to living organisms. And so a lot of the monsters and stuff on Zepidin are actually like metal binded. So there's like metal dragons.
Nice. And going back to the background event where it's like your hero isn't always like the hero. It's like I'm a big proponent of writing that on the occasional quest where it's like you can try as hard as you want, but occasionally like the hero has to have like an episode where they don't save the day, or it's like it's not. It's one of those gut punches where you always look back. It's like, remember that time when you failed, and it's like I actually came up with a great idea for that, like a quest line thing, because I wrote this tragic horror story kind of thing way back when. And it's called like the tragedy of the I think it was like the Tinkertop Society or something, but it's essentially like this entire city's run off of clockwork mechanisms, and through either somebody doing sabotage or like something going wrong, the rewinding stations start breaking down, so the city starts grinding to a halt. So it's like you get people disappearing, functions start working, so the adventurers get called in to try to stop it before the entire city just dies by like stopping the function.
I like that. That seems like they could probably fit best on the Arc one. The steampunk and the scientists, and they have like clock towers and stuff. So I can see
it's
that
like
working.
an entire clockwork society. It's best known for like always being punctual, always on time. It's just like this perfect city of like clockwork mechanisms that's just off on its own, and they just start like breaking down. The land of misfit toys kind of thing. I
like it. Oops. Well, let's see. So yeah, we have the dragon there by himself. Then we have Durgadon. Which I don't know if I've ever actually said that out loud. Like sometimes when I make stuff, and I'm sure you probably did this too, you write stuff.
And it seems like such a good thing on paper, and then you say it's like,
Sometimes I even like write things. Like sometimes I even like write things that when I read them, I can't even like read them out loud. Like it doesn't even like my mouth can't even.
Yeah,
you
you can't make the sounds that you've written down.
Yeah, and it looks like I could like when I look at it, but Durgadon's not too bad, I don't think. Basically, it's like a beast. I think this one was largely inspired by the dinosaur. I think it's the Stegosaurus that has the giant like mace tail.
Yeah.
So this has like a giant blade on its tail, and it has.
Or Ankylosaurus is like the one with the like battering ram tail.
Okay, yeah. So it's modeled after that kind of design, and it has that meets like an armadillo. Like they have like this a hardened cloak. So these guys are found in Brutana, the most brutal of the planets. It's his name. So this is Emma. She is a young. She's a young gun fanatic. She likes guns and shooting stuff and swinging in.
I like guns and gun things, and just she's a gun person.
Yeah. She does have a backstory. I can't remember it exactly. I know her father gets killed somehow. But yeah, and also you can see that she has this item here is a guard, and it basically, if she were to get shot, the guard dispenses energy over her body, like a protective layer of energy, and if she were to get shot, it will start dispensing that energy before it actually damages her.
Yeah, temporary shield, or...
Yeah, people can think of it as like a shield from Halo, Bioshock Infinite, or Borderlands. The reason why they're not called shields in here is because people actually, like, some people wield shields, and I thought it might be confusing to have two different types of shields.
Yeah, if you use the word shield too many times, it just becomes like exactly what shield you're talking about. The physical, the energy, the...
Exactly. So this is a promotional piece of art for Tomb of the Lost, which is an expansion not yet released. And this is Kara and Viven, who are kind of back-to-back. They see themselves... they kind of got split up from their parties, and these are actually two different groups. Or two different members of two different groups that kind of are forced to help each other out while they're fighting off against a horde of skeletons. Now, what's cool about this, I forgot to mention with the Arc one, with the steampunk city that's all up in the skies and stuff. Well, whenever they brought up a lot of these sanctuaries that were these bunkers that were meant to hide away the people to be safe from the colossi that were down below. Well, some of those people got locked into those sanctuaries, and certain bad things happened. Some people were sacrificed to dark magics and stuff. A lot of those places are now off limits, and they're on their own floating territories, and the government has them sanctioned off, or they can't go there, because if you go inside the tombs, you will be encountered with these like undead and skeletons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it actually has like a dungeon crawling vibe to this like steampunk floating city world, which is an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, the fell beast and the terrors with it and kind of feel to it.
Mm-hmm. Then we have Itevavik. This is my friend Trey's character. This is actually the first character ever created for Otherworlds.
Yeah, you used this for the concept characters when we were playing the couple of times we played.
Yeah. Is this the one that you played?
Yeah. This was the one I think I made a Whisper for.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, earlier we had some of my initial drawings of them, but this is a redone version. This is the same race that people sometimes think is a kangaroo or a goat or fox or whatever. But I like him a lot. Yeah, he's cool all around. Let's see. This is the initial piece of art I got back for him.
100 times more angry.
And 100 times more kangaroo looking. So I was like, I didn't really feel like this captured him the right way.
I feel like it captures him like with certain type of class, like just like the vendetta versus like the calm, like Australian accent versus all I feel is anger.
Yeah, yeah. It just the race itself didn't look right.
Yeah.
I think it's a really good picture. Just the race didn't look right, and also he was meant to have like a.
It's actually closer to like mousy look to it too because of the
Oh
ears.
yeah, I can see that. So this is a female Destoka, also drawn by a female, and this was done way back in the day, like 10 years ago or something. But
I like the idea of a Destoka doing a fashion walk because this is what it feels like she's doing.
yeah, well, this person's art style they really loved. Well, actually, every single like female artist I work with, they love kind of like showing off the female figure.
Yeah.
Which I don't personally have a problem with, but it is funny. It is like the spirit's like I've come back, and then, that was kind of before too. We had like the that was before the concept of it was kind of laid out. It was just I thought it'd be cool to have a spirit character. I didn't really think about what that would entail, why they would exist, and all that stuff at this point. Actually, I think a lot of times I kind of work backwards. Like I kind of like create something that looks cool, and then I give it a story before I do that. I think a little bit more than create a story and then make something cool based on that story.
Yeah, that sounds pretty much like what I do. It's like I either start in the middle or I start with this great idea and like build around. It's like, oh, how does this fit into the world? Well, let's write a world and find out.
Yeah. So this is a female Kader.
Nice.
Oh. Now this is the female Dandrick. So we saw the sketch of the guy earlier with the scarred eye, and so this is the female version of him. This is Rosaline, and that girl that I said looked stocky, looked kind of like a dude or something.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be her.
This is also one of your starter characters while you're developing, I think.
Yeah. This is Rosaline. She's pretty cool. She owns her own store. A lot of Dandricks like to be entrepreneurs, and they have their own little local shops. In Dorgan, they have a lot of their own like. Whenever you go to different planets and stuff, it's not like very commercialized and very like here's this brand that you see all across the world. It's very like independent owners and stuff. So this is a work in progress of the fist bump artwork that I showed at the beginning of the stream. As you can tell, it got changed a little bit, but still pretty cool. So this is a location piece. This is on Faragna, which is part of the OSI Ruins campaign. So as you can tell, Faragna is actually meant to be a very beautiful place. Largely, there is some marshes, some swamps, things like that. This is where the Kilnogs are. But and also these like spires are from like a civilization long past.
Yeah, just like your remnants or however the ancients or
yeah.
however.
So what's interesting too is the ancients, like these worlds, like. It'd be kind of like us, like we see like Egyptian pyramids, we study them, stuff like that. What if like when we traveled to 10 different planets, we saw that there were pyramids on each of those planets as well?
Yeah, like
that'd be insane. Yeah, so that's how this is. Like these ancients were almost like pilgrims of some sort or something, where they set up some sort of life or some sort of technology on every single world, so they're all connected in some way. At least all the worlds that the players know about that they can travel to.
Yeah, and it's like it brings the questions like, what if they're not really gone and they're watching us discover them kind of thing. It's like there's a lot that you could dig into with the ancients and with the any kind of like remnant society like this.
Yeah, and I actually have a lot of answers to those kind of questions. It's really hard for me like knowing all the lore and like knowing some of the stuff, and it's like I know it'd be much better to be like revealed through the game. But like the pace that I can release the game, the writings and the games and stuff is so slow based on like all the ideas I have. So it's very tough to like kind of keep it bottled up or whatever.
Yeah, and then sometimes it's good to leave some of that stuff like vaguely interpretive, so you have like you can see how people,
I want there to be mystery. Yeah,
and then you have like your DMs that like build onto their interpretation of like what that scene would mean or like what that impact would have, which is really cool because sometimes it's like they take it in directions you didn't even see possible.
Oh yeah, and sometimes that can give me a better idea too. So here's the Gortusk Lava Mouth. Now these guys I love the idea of. They just sit there and they devour like lava. And then they climb into volcanoes, they eat lava, and then when people get close to them, they like look at them, and they just spit out lava that pours out of their belly, and they like to be on top of the volcano, so the lava just pours down the volcano, or they'll be on top of like mountains and stuff, and just have like lava come rushing towards you. And if that doesn't work, they'll charge you with their tusk like a boar. And they're also in Bruton. So this is a character that my friend made way back in the day. This character has an interesting design. He was known for having shenanigans. That was a special trait.
I was about to say, the googly eye really sells it.
These creatures are known as howlings, and they were they're kind of like wolves. Was the most things that they're inspired by. Now I couldn't decide if I wanted them to have glowing like yellow eyes, or to kind of have like the no eyes kind of thing, or this like...
I actually really like the no eyes look to it, because it just has that dark, like, doesn't make sense in the world kind of feel, which if you're writing like a darker world or kind of something that's a lot scarier to your player, you want to have aspects that don't make as much sense as they should.
Yeah, I can dig it. That was something I was stuck with for a while. Now this is my friend Caleb's favorite art piece here. This is done by Samuel Donato. This is actually Vane when she takes up the role of being a pirate. And that zoomed in quite a bit.
I love the detail on this. Like, this artist did some work on this.
Yeah. It was he did an amazing job. This is the cover art for Into Black Tides. Now, so like I said, this is Vane, who we saw before, but she has a different outfit now. Now she also has a blood saber, kind of like how Vivian had. This takes place with the Gothic horror meets pirates on Transil, and then this is Crendon, and then this is Jackson, which is like her first mate and like her quartermaster. So yeah, and actually he has two peg feet. It's hard to tell, but he has two peg feet.
I love that.
So yeah, so there's that. Now if I can figure out how to zoom out. Let's zoom out. Okay, so boom, we're good. Go back. Okay, so originally it was done during the daytime, but as I was telling you yesterday, Transil during the daytime doesn't look like this because they have a black sun.
Yeah.
And they say it's been corrupted by a demon, and that's why it's black. And so a lot of their light comes from having two moons, which you can see both of them right here actually. Their two moons, they theorize is they see it as a blessing from angels, which gives them so much light, so they can actually see better at nighttime. Which granted, a lot of the races here too can see well in the dark, anyways.
Just kind of like a natural evolution to it.
Yeah. So this is the only piece of artwork for Otherworlds that I did not get commissioned. This is a piece of artwork I found on DeviantArt, and I messaged the guy, and this is before I even commissioned any artwork. And I was like, hey, I really like this character. Would you mind if I have the rights to use her for Otherworlds? And the guy was like, yeah, like, your game looks really cool. Sure, she can be a part of Otherworlds. So she got made to be a part of Otherworlds, even though like she was completely illustrated, like not necessarily to be a part of Otherworlds. But she was the inspiration of the Reaper class. So the Reapers are interesting because they are beings they're people that have died. And then, because of a unique skill set and a unique personality, a unique characteristic of theirs, they are granted sort of like a rebirth to come back and have abilities of a Reaper to kind of carry out sentences based off of whoever gave them those powers. She's actually in a unique case, though. She wasn't given her powers by an actual dark entity that would oversee this kind of things. Like the dark entities are neither good nor bad. Kind of like how a lot of religion doesn't view death as good or evil. It's just like
it's a thing that happens.
It's a thing that happens. So usually that's not a good or evil thing. However, her powers were given to her by a demon who saw that she was kind of crazy, she was unhinged, and he had his own plans for her. However, she ended up coming back and killing him, and she just basically took all of his powers.
I actually did not know this was a scythe at first. I thought she was like stepping through like a blood rift and was like making a crater, and then I kind of connected the rest of the piece.
Yeah, well, it's a crazy scythe. It's an insanely crazy scythe. Back to the tarot, which we've already seen. Another picture of the Kader over here. This is the male version. Okay, so this is the Otherworlds version of the Cabal. Kobolds, sorry. I said that weird. I was saying it like Cabal, but Kobolds. So Kobolds...
I love kobolds.
Yeah, I do too. So they've kind of been translated differently based on different... Originally they started off as these like small wolf creatures, but because of like D&D and some other popular games, they made them more reptilian. I tried to go with my own unique spin to where they kind of have their own unique look to them, so they don't look like your standard kobold, and that was done very intentionally.
Yeah, it's a very lichen satyr look to it.
Yeah, but they're gonna be their characteristics are very similar to kobold, where they're gonna be in the tunnels and make traps and all that stuff. But yeah, so I'm pretty happy with the way that the kobolds turned out.
Will it be a playable class as well?
Well, they're not a playable race, at least currently not, but they definitely could be, maybe in the future. I really want to see the goblins illustrated for Otherworlds because we don't have an official illustration for them, but they're going to have these glowing yellow circular eyes to help them see at nighttime, and then they have these tiny biceps, but they have giant forearms and hands for like smashing things with, and they have two little like oni horns and like large ears and like large heads.
Oh, nice.
So I'm really excited to see those guys illustrated. This is another friend of mine. He had his character illustrated, or I illustrated his character for Otherworlds back in the day. His thing was he could turn into crows, and then like he could like summon crows to attack people and stuff.
Actually, really funny. I just wrote a idea for like a enemy kind of thing called like the Murder, or essentially like crow society that does eldritch rituals.
Oh, okay. Well, this guy was very murderous and stuff. He probably fit right in. We could work him in. So this was a weapon I made like 10 years ago, the Mossfire Club. Actually, so funny enough, I forgot about this until just now. I had a dream about this weapon, and I made it the next day. So my dream was like I was running around in this fantastical world. I wish I had more dreams like this. I actually don't have this that often. I was running around this fantastical world, amazing trees everywhere. There's this like amazing bridge that was made out of the natural. It wasn't like a wooden bridge. It was made out of the natural like geography of the planet.
Okay.
But it like was an amazing like moss bridge, and it looked amazing. But anyways, this was a weapon that that was in there. I can't remember how I had this weapon, but it was like this thing that it was like a moss covered club, but it had these weird red bubbles on it. Or I'm not sure if that's I'm colorblind. Maybe it's pink. I don't know. Is it red?
It's red on the Twitch, and it's kind of like a purplish on our screen.
Okay. I'm pretty sure I meant for it to be red. I'm colorblind. But anyways, whenever you smack someone with it, the idea is they have a chance of popping and bursting, and then they will catch the person on fire that you smack.
Okay. I like that. Yeah. I really like that.
I don't necessarily know how that works or anything, but I mean, it's probably just like a natural growth on them, like some sort of parasite sort of
just
thing.
like something from like the swamp or something like that, just that bursts and ignites.
Yeah, so I actually had this be like one of the weapons that Kilnogs use when they go around like hunting people, and they just like that'd be terrifying to fight someone against. It says run, evade, and jump before you have to stop, drop, and roll.
Yeah, and you could even have it like different regions have like different like things in the bubbles. Like one's like straight up acid, and one's just like poison smoke and all sorts of stuff.
So this is actually a sketch I did on a notebook piece of paper, hence why you see lines through him. But he's also a Leogan, known as Mafundar.
I actually like the lines on it because it looks like it's kind of like either a hologram or like a memory or something like that.
Yeah,
like it has that weird disconnected reality look to it.
Yeah, I can see that. That's a cool idea for it. He's supposed to be hanging from like a branch too. But he's kind of like a dark Leogan assassin kind of guy. He's not necessarily your typical Leogan because he's not the big brooding force kind of guy. So this is a piece of art that no one's seen. This is a character known as Nasine. She is from a world that's not one of the core worlds. Her world gets devoured by a space-eating or a planet-eating demon.
Ooh.
And she basically discovers the main worlds and tries to form up a resistance and tries to let people know about this happening and tries to stop it before these other worlds get devoured as well. Now what's interesting is I actually had my players play through and actually join her in trying to save her own planet, in which they actually had a chance of saving it, but they weren't able to. And she was actually seen as the main villain on that planet too, because she forced because a lot of people didn't take her seriously for a lot of reasons until it's too late.
Yeah.
Well, she knew it would be too late by the time that they would actually take her seriously. So she forced herself into power and basically became like a dictator and like ran everything her way, but it's all for the greater good.
She was like the older brother in Fable, kind of like just like I did these things because they needed to be done to save the planet.
Yeah, except for I don't remember the story in Fable, so I don't know if his was actually like justified in that way. Like hers is like literally like in Fable, like I assume like you beat him and so things ended up working out anyways.
In 3, it's like he's just kind of like, you don't understand. He tells you the story that like the Black Tide's coming and essentially like everyone's dead unless you do these things, and you know you have the option of being able to save everyone, but it's like a money mechanic, which is weird, but it's video game logic. But
yeah,
it has a similar feel to it where it's like I did these things because I had to, not because I wanted to. Like I'll play the villain if it saves the world.
Well, if you disagree with him though, does the world actually destroyed?
I mean, it's like you basically take his mantle, and if you go along the line of what he did, you could still get the world destroyed. Like it still gives you that thing of like making a mistake.
Gotcha. My idea for her is I love Lelouch v Britannia from Code Geass. I'm not sure if you watched Code Geass at all, but I wanted to have like a female version of him, and because it's Otherworlds, I wanted her to be a capable fighter, so she's like a swordsman. Or swordswoman, I guess you could say.
She also reminds me of Weiss from Ruby, but that's
yeah.
just...
What's funny is this is before I ever watched Ruby. I didn't know Weiss at all, and Weiss is actually my favorite character in Ruby. But yeah, there's a colored version of her too, where you will see that she has like, I think her hair's purple, so she won't look quite as much like Weiss. But I actually never thought that. But even with the pose, it seems like a Weiss kind of pose, and having like the kind of the smaller sword, you know, and the way her outfit is. It's very interesting that you said her outfit was actually very much inspired by an outfit from Lelouch, because in Code Geass, the royals and stuff, they wear like very like fancy looking like clothing, and it's like white and stuff. So I wanted her to have an outfit similar to that. Now, what's unfortunate is the artist did an amazing job on this, but she gave me a few different poses, and so this one never got colored. I chose for another one to get colored. Though I really love this so much that I might one day just have her pay for that. Okay, yeah, so this is the colored version.
Okay.
So you can see she doesn't look as much like Weiss now that she's colored and stuff. But I felt like her sitting on the throne and stuff kind of represented more of like... Well, I think they both kind of represent her really well, like if you see both.
Yeah, this sells the personality that you were telling me about a lot. Just kind of like that reluctant but like necessary evil, like queen feel to it.
Yeah. So like that. And I don't know. Yeah, I was about to say I don't know when exactly I'm incorporating her in the story, but I'll be excited to do so when that happens. So this is a big story moment. This is when one of my players in one of my games, he made this character over here on the right. They had to go to this like underworld and fight Necros, who's one of the dark entities. Now, notably, Necros is the only dark entity that used to be human. He replaced one of the dark entities that had died, though they don't know the cause of the death. All the other ones have been there for all time. So he's the only one that looks human. The other ones look kind of like strange, like spirits, or like one looks kind of like a bat demon thing. Now this guy actually became this because his daughter had died, and he thought by becoming this dark entity, he'd be able to bring her back to life, because that's part of his like power set. But because of certain rules and restrictions on his power, he's not able to bring her back to life, which is the main reason why he became this in the first place. Now he's stuck eternally doing this role and feeling tormented. So he kind of turns bad. Now the skull in his hand is actually his daughter's. Carries it with him. His fists say "game over" because that's just the kind of humor he has. He's developed a very sick sense of humor. Yeah. He has an hourglass for a necklace to represent when your time runs out, and as you can tell, you can see his bones. Because I wanted to emphasize that he used to be human, but he's no longer human.
Yeah, kind of like a lich from D&D or something like that, where it's like the body's slowly desiccating because it's past the point of where it's been alive.
Yeah. And this fight, even though these are the main people fighting, there's other teammates and stuff that ended up helping him in this fight. Now what's crazy too is since he was channeling his power through Necros, there's a moment where this little girl died because they failed this mission, and this girl dies, and he says, "Please give me the power to bring her back to life." And he said, "Oh, I can give you so much more." And he brings her back to life, but everyone else that died through this chaotic event, brings them all back as these zombies.
Oh,
and they start eating and killing all these people. And that was the tipping point. Because they already had this relationship where he kind of helped, kind of didn't. And it just kind of annoyed Grimm. Like, it wasn't a means to, like, go to war with them. But after this point, when he, like, turned everyone in the city to, like, kill each other.
That, like, point of no return, essentially. Where he fully went off the sliding slope of being a villain.
Exactly. This was an art piece done for the OSI ruins as well, for Ragnar. We see the ancient structures here. You see some of the greenery and the trees and stuff like that.
I really do like this, because it's like there's so much story that you could potentially tell with this, like, flashback moments where it's like this is like a transit system or portals or something like that.
Mm-hmm. I'm happy to hear that. Back to the Watchbird. This is this was a statue made. This is a concept of a statue made of kind of resembling what people thought of the ancients. So this isn't necessarily saying that this is what the ancients look like, but this is if you see like statues of the ancients or anything like that, it's usually going to have a similar resemblance to that.
It's like our statues of Buddha or Jesus or something like that. Yeah. It's like this is the artist's rendition of what they thought it looked like.
Yeah. So these are very like
in their world.
Yeah, tall and lanky and stuff. And also, whenever you played a while back for the demo, you guys went into that tomb and you guys fought the ancient statue that turned corrupted.
Yeah.
It's meant to look like that. Let's see.
Which I also remember the character where you had get, like 30 some odd intelligence and transcend reality. I actually, I wrote Whisper as an item in the game, like a legendary item, and I had like the little like blurb for it. Like the previous owner of this transcended reality and left this item behind.
So this is a hover bike from Anthos, one of the more advanced worlds. This is called the Bloodhound. Also illustrated by Jared Sanford. Then this is actually illustrated by Abby Edwards. This is
I love this.
Yeah, this is the character who we named Morty. He was used for our character creation tutorial.
You had YouTube. To name him Morty, didn't you?
Well, what's funny is it wasn't intentional. Because I don't actually watch Rick and Morty, which is what I'm assuming you're drawing that comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't even intentional. What had happened was their names are very hard to come up with because a lot of times the Feelinks have names with at least 4 syllables in them. So it's very hard to come up with. But my friend had a name, and I believe his character's name was like Mordekaigen. Yeah, I think it was Mordekaigen. And so I couldn't think of a name, but I needed to give him a name immediately because it was the last thing I'd forgotten to do. So I was like, what about Mordekaigen? And then I was like, okay, cool. But I was like, I'll just call him Morty for short. And so the fact that it got tied back into like Rick and Morty and stuff was like, that was not intentional at all. But it is funny to me where like in my mind, if he ever has a voice, it would be like Morty's voice at this point.
Oh, jeez, Rick. Here we go. I'm a cat person now.
Yeah, especially since he looks like that, like he looks all goofy and stuff. In the video, if you haven't seen it, like it's a very goofy video, like very, very, very goofy. And it was because like the reason for that is because when I looked online for character creation tutorials for other role-playing games, it's usually like a middle-aged man sitting there by himself, and he's like, all right, so to make your character, you'll want to look through on page 12, and it's like, oh my gosh, like it's so boring. So we tried to really make it just as much of like a comedy video as like an informative video.
Yeah.
So here we have Buffbeard, which is one of the werewolf
I like the name
pirates.
already.
Thank you. His brother, actually I can't remember. I was going to say his brother's name's Angry Beard, but I think that's literally a guy from the Angry Joe show on YouTube. I don't remember. So maybe it's not Angry Beard. Maybe that was just coming to mind because of that. But yeah, his name's Buffbeard.
My brain is just a spectacular thing. Sometimes I'm like, please tell me this guy hails from Aruba.
Aruba. I don't get this.
Howling dogs.
I don't get it for some reason.
The Aru, like when dogs howl. So Aruba.
Oh, got you. Okay, yeah. Well, maybe. I don't think we have his origin place. So, but yeah, maybe it's Aruba.
Don't put him from Aruba.
But
That
yeah,
would just be too silly.
Buffbeard's actually been very popular. A lot of people like Buffbeard.
Yeah, I like him. I like the art style.
So this is the front cover photo for Otherworlds. This is the first I think this is the first commission art I ever got. We have Alessia, we have Vivin, we have Aegir, and we have Zera, which is one of the elves. We haven't seen on our own picture. Now, this is before the elves had their own story and such, where really her outfit here doesn't really make sense with her people's outfit. Which was, at the time when I designed these characters, they were designed more to like look cool than they were designed with the idea of like where are they from, why would they be dressed the way they're dressed, that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff is a lot more prevalent in my mind currently than it was 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But luckily, because it is Otherworlds, they can go to these different worlds and stuff. They're adventurers. She can obviously pick up her outfit somewhere else.
Yeah.
So it's not like something that just does not fit at all. So this was a creature that I made.
I like it.
Now this is a part of a campaign I did on Xylos, and Xylos is even scarier than the vampire world. Xylos is more of the eldritch horror. It taps a lot more into that. Now the thing is with Into the Black Tides, eldritch horror is creeping into that world, and it's creeping into the other worlds and different worlds as well, with the aberrations coming in and stuff like that, because there's this I think I told you before, there's this being that was made by the ancients a long time ago, and he's sealed away. Well, Xylos is the planet he was sealed away on, and so that is the most corrupted planet of them all, and it has the most like twisty, mind-bending, eldritch kind of stuff there. So that's part of a concept for that.
Yeah, see, I tried to do eldritch horror, just like a couple of character designs, and it turned into like Freudian nightmare fuel, and it's like, oh, I'm not sure if this is the good tone for it. My one that was like less like sexualized nightmare was called the Glurg, which was essentially like a parasite that infests people, and the main foot soldier is someone that basically has their head cocked up at like a 90-degree angle and their jaw's been distended, and essentially
gross.
It fills with like this like acidic like bile that they just like when they die or when they just all over people and like either burn building, like they're the infantry and the breaker force, because I was basing off like Warcraft and Warhammer and Starcraft, and I just turned into like this sexualized nightmare fuel.
Sounds like nightmare fuel. Speaking of the opposite of nightmare fuel, we have this colorful sea dragon hover bike, which is something I made, I think it was 2 years ago. Just something quick, I concepted up. There's some sort of hover bike. Maybe it also goes over water or something. Just some little skeleton guy I made. Can't remember exactly what he's. I think on Zepidin, there's something dealing with. There's this like forbidden like desert kind of place, and then there's these like. Oh yeah. So they used to have a race of like minotaurs, but through various reasons, a lot of them are dead, and they're in this like forbidden waste. And when they go there, there's like skeletons of those minotaurs that come out of the sands and attack people and stuff, and it's cursed. The idea and the concept of that's largely based from Final Fantasy Tactics. There's these skeletons that have horns.
Yeah.
And I thought they were really cool.
You could even have it like lore-wise where they call it like the desiccation or something like that, and it slowly like spreads through the plane.
Yeah, I feel like I have a lot more story for it, and I'm like struggling to remember. This is actually a lot of like sometimes people are like, why don't you remember like the other week someone was like, why don't you remember all the details to Iron Man 2? And I was like, because I'm remembering all of this. Like if it's between this or Iron Man 2, I'm gonna remember this. But yeah, this is some concept art I did years ago. This is guys like a battle mage. This is before Saul was actually illustrated, and what's weird, I didn't even use this guy as a basis for Saul, but he's doing the same thing, like weapon on the back, gun in hand, spell in one hand.
I love the one eye mask. That's always a very unique thing because a lot of people go for like the 2-eye look.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that, but I appreciate you like it. And then this is kind of like a metallic hound creature.
I like
my
this.
idea is he's all like metal.
Yeah, I really like this, especially because it's like it looks like he has multiple sets of eyes too. Like it looks like he has 4 eyes and then like fangs.
And then this is that was meant to be like a group of adventurers that was kind of based on expansion at some point. We have this like elf guy has a sword and some sort of mage, and he has like the full visor mask kind of thing and the staff. And we have a dude with a crossbow. This is actually a Kadir. And then we have the Daedric in the background with the western hat and the guns.
Is that one of their drones?
Yeah, they have like a drone thing. I can't remember exactly. I think this. So this guy, I think. So this would be an interesting mashup. So the Kadirs are normally these gladiators, sports guys. I think this guy was meant to be like a witch hunting version of that. So it's like a witch hunter, gladiator, like crustacean guy with like a floating drone. Like this. I love how Otherworlds can give you these like crazy mashups and stuff.
And like I like to think that they've named it like Dave or something. It's like an acronym for what it does, and it's just like, come on, Dave, let's go. Dude, right behind you, Master.
I love acronyms. I think there's an acronym for some item called like Bob, where it's like a man. I can't remember at the moment, but I do put acronyms in the game. So this is another Destoka. He's one of the main bad guys in OSI Ruins. He doesn't have the bandages though, as you can tell. He's more connected to his armor.
I was actually about to say it looks like the other guard bots. Like it looks like the final form of the guard bots from earlier. The ones with the mace arm.
Yeah. This is a storm elemental.
I've actually fought one of these. Because my character dove off the top of it.
Oh yeah, were you there for that?
Yeah. Because that's the one that transcended reality.
This is the concept art for a phalanx known as Styx. So these are these little creatures known as Sphax or Svax, and they're like snakes but with 2 arms.
They actually remind me of slivers from Magic.
Yeah, I could see that. They don't have a hive mind though, thankfully for people.
And thankfully they don't have the stacking bonuses either.
Yeah. See ya, Abby. I'll see you later. Let's see. So this was concept art done for Timmy, which is a robot in on one of the worlds. You can find these guys in A Damn Shame, which is one of the expansions we have. They're meant to be like these like kind of tourist friendly bots, where they have like on their chest here, they have like a screen, and the little kids can play games on them, and you can use them as like a directory and stuff. But these hackers take over the dam and take all these Timmies, and they reprogram them to be like mean and violent. So they have these like angry faces pop up.
I like
their eyes glow red whenever they're angry. And usually it says like I'm your friend, but it's like I'm no longer your friend. So you can have like a lot of funny dialogue with what they can say. But they're pretty weak enemies overall. They're meant to be more there for the humor.
Plus I like the idea that it kind of looks like a Barnacle Boy or something like that. Just like the weak like, yeah, I'm gonna get him. Wow. Just.
So this is a Vantikar.
I like this art.
One of the dragon people. The details for this guy was done really well.
Yeah, it was.
Now his horns are different than the other guys. It's because this guy breathes ice.
And it shows in the skin tone and stuff too.
Yep. Let's see. So we can move on. So this is a sketch I did a long time ago. Notebook paper. This was meant to be a like some sort of vampire mercenary guy. He's like a crazy like scythe with like a web in it and stuff.
I honestly like how horrifying his face looks, because it looks kind of like
I will say it is a mask.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay, because if that's his actual face, it's very like reminiscent of like Nemesis from Resident Evil.
No.
His face is peeled back, and that's his teeth and like the fleshy tendrils of face. Like
no, it's meant to be like a mask that sort of resembles like a spider of sorts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was about to say, that is truly horrifying if that is that guy's face. Like, that is the man that you run away from very quickly.
So this is never before seen art. It is for an expansion called Quest for Booty and Chest. And it's meant to be your ultimate pirate expansion supplement. It goes well with the Into the Black Tides, because Into the Black Tides covers a lot of the lore for the werewolves and the vampires, all that stuff, and it covers that story arc for being a pirate on that world. However, this expansion covers if you want to be an airship pirate, a spaceship pirate, a sand ship pirate,
Dude, I've been
a normal pirate.
Dude, I was writing airships. I love airships.
I love airships too. So in this picture, you can see like space, you can see there's water, you can see there's sand, and you can see there's the air. So like it's meant to kind of encompass all that. This guy's inspired a lot by Kamina or Simon, either of the two from Gurren Lagann. I'm not sure if you ever watched Gurren Lagann.
Yeah,
okay,
of course.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Then this is a picture that a friend drew for me a long time ago for Yamanoko. Just a nice pretty piece. Let's see. Okay. So this is a picture for A Damn Shame. This is a character known as Zell. He's a billionaire or gazillionaire. He has seemingly unlimited funds. Now what's funny is on the outside his place doesn't look all that good, so you wouldn't know, but once you enter it, it's very fancy.
Immeasurably rich man kind of thing.
Yeah, which he has a crazy story behind him, but I do not have the time to get into that story. But basically his main purpose is he forms what is known as the Vindicators. And the Vindicators is kind of like he's almost like the Nick Fury of this world.
Yeah, I was about to say it sounds very Avenger-esque.
Yeah. He's forming the Vindicators, and they're meant to stop, the main evil and stuff happening. We have Saul over here, who you may have seen earlier, and we have Akaya over here. So I wanted to try to pay some nods and tie backs to some of the characters that we've already seen. Yeah, so there's that. You can find out more about him and this whole adventure in A Damn Shame, which is on vindicatedentertainment.com. And this is the first draft of that, or one of the first drafts of that. This is actually the first draft. So so at first, these two were no-name people, and they look very generic.
Yeah,
and
like he looks kind of like Vision.
Yeah, and I didn't like this. He wasn't coming across the way I wanted him to look. So the artist worked on me a bit to make sure that he looked more the way I wanted him to.
Yeah.
Which I was very happy to tie in these characters too, so they weren't just generic, like no-name people. This is done by the same artist. This is on Zeppelin with the elves and the crazy like metallic stuff. You can see a lot of their world here.
Is that one of the lava beasts up there on the roof?
It's not a lava beast. It's a beast known as the Scorpitar.
Okay.
Which is like a ox scorpion.
I like it.
And some people actually revere, there's a certain tribe that reveres the Scorpitar as being sacred. And seeing a Scorpitar is meant to bring about good or bad fortune depending on how it judges you. It's kind of a lower thing for that.
So they're a lot whiter than they look.
Yes. Now with this, you see a lot of their world is actually kind of like this hex-plated metal, which I thought was real interesting. And also their world's very eclectic, where they have the most diverse world as far as like here's water, here's valleys and mountains and sand, and they have a very spliced together world as far as like the different terrains that are coming up. And actually, this character, for the time being, does not have a name yet. And she doesn't have a story, which is very rare for me. I almost have a character, name, and story for everyone.
I was going to say like Carmina or something just because of the red, but...
Does Carmina mean red?
Well, I think Carmine is red, but that's
Okay.
Gears of Warsy, and you don't want her to die that much.
Gotcha. Yeah. I don't necessarily want her to die. She does have a gun on her back that some people don't notice at first. So, point that out. Now this is a Zomquatch, zombie Sasquatch.
I like it.
I actually made a whole little mini game, like a mini tabletop game based around him, where so there's actually a Zomquatch expansion that you can get for only $1 on Vindicate Entertainment. It's called the Zomquatch Challenge, where it's a little story and then you encounter the Zomquatch and you have to fight them. There's actually a little version of the Zomquatch which is known as Littlefoot, because instead of Bigfoot, it's Littlefoot.
I think I've actually done this adventure too.
Yeah, I think you probably did.
Because I ran in and got, like, he was just, like, whipping me back and forth on the ground, and the other person that was playing was just like, I don't know what to do, save me!
Totally worth $1, right?
Yeah, totally.
The little mini game that I have for it is kind of played like Werewolf, where everyone is, basically you're playing the heroes before the actual heroes come by and stop the Zomquatch.
Okay,
so you're playing like the first wave of people.
You're the B squad. Pretty much.
You're the B squad, but you're like the Suicide Squad that the town gets before they want to pay up more money to get the actual adventurers to come in. So you're like the town's warrior, the town's mage, the town's assassin, all that stuff, and you get together and you go out on these missions through the woods. And what happens is on each mission you have to put a card into the pool. And the card, the mission will say you need at least one attack card, one support card, or one defense card, or a combination of those. And based on what class you are, you can put in different cards into the pool, and you also assign who goes on the mission. So, and also there's a crazy cultist who's trying to sabotage you. So, for example, if we're all playing and you're like the warrior, then you're like, I can go on this mission because we need combat experience. I can provide that because I'm the warrior. Someone else can say, I'm a warrior too, even though they're not. And then they put in a card to sabotage you. If anyone puts in a card that does not match the exact requirements for the mission, you fail the mission, and someone randomly gets drugged from the woods, like whenever you go to sleep, or at some point, like during the mission, like the mission fails or everyone had to run, and they get drugged in by the Zomquatch and beat to death and die. And then you have to keep trying to go until you get to the final mission. You have to lay everything out perfectly or everyone dies. And it's been a pretty fun game. There's some little kinks here and there to make it perfect. It's not quite there yet, but I'd be excited to debut that at some point. Because I've always if you haven't noticed, for Vindicate Entertainment, a lot of my games revolve around like some sort of fantastical combat element. Just because I love, like, that's just what I personally love. So like I really enjoy Werewolf and Mafia, but I wanted to try to figure out a way to like have an adventurers vibe and like this combat mission quest element to it, but still have like this like menacing threat that will kill you.
Yes, absolutely.
And then we're back to the fist bump, which I named the ZZ fist bump to make sure it was last in order. Like I said, this is the newest piece of art. You can check out the new shirt on www.vindicated.storeenvy.com, or maybe it's vindicatorentertainment.storeenvy.com. I think it's that, vindicatorentertainment.storeenvy.com. Shirt will be available for a limited time. 9 years of fist bumping, so be sure to check that out. Anyways, I think that covers a large swath of the art. I still think there's definitely art that was not shown today. That was just the art that I compiled up last night for today's stream. Anyways, I think we covered most of that. If you like the music we've been listening to, I've been listening to two different artists. Alex Shea of Tabletop Music, he's a friend of mine. He allows me to put his music in any of our videos, which I super appreciate. He's been a very, very awesome guy. If you check out Tabletop Music, it's the website I use almost exclusively whenever I run a tabletop game, because you can create your own playlist and you can theme them to whatever you want. So I'll create a playlist that says pirates, and it's all like pirate themed music, or one that's all for exploration, or one that is, if it's meant to be like medieval fantasy, or one that's meant to be sci-fi. You can theme the playlist to whatever you want, and then the music will just be playing through the tracks. He also has it on his homepage. He has different buttons that says plot, darkness, combat, and exploration. You can just click on one of those buttons and a song will automatically play from the website. It's a really awesome website. The layout's really cool. Like I said, he's a really awesome guy. He also does a lot of music for different video games and stuff. He actually did the most recent one I saw, which I'm sure he's done projects past since this, but the most recent one I saw is he did the music for a video game called Kanji Combat 2, and it helps you learn Japanese. It's like a side-scroller like RPG game that teaches you kanji. So he's an amazing composer. He also does voice acting, all this other stuff. And then the other music that's a little bit more jazzy and stuff, that's done by Sweeps, and you can see him you can see his stuff at Sweeps Beats. If you purchase A Damn Shame, which not only has the A Damn Shame mission in it, which is beautifully written by Clark Harper, who is one of my friends, and he's a talented writer who's worked on many other projects before he worked on this Otherworlds project. Not only did he write this very, very well and in-depth, but he also managed to get in contact with Sweeps, and we have a deal where if you buy A Damn Shame, you not only get 3 amazing pre-made characters, the expansion for this awesome mission that has tons of replay value, but you also get I believe it's 6. It might be 5 or 7 or maybe even 8. It's at least I feel like it's at least 6. It's 6 downloadable tracks by Sweeps that you would be able to download onto your computer, listen to. It reminds me of like Cowboy Bebop when I listen to it. So if you want to get in like a Cowboy Bebop Otherworlds vibe, it's perfect for that. And yeah, I think that covers everything. Is there any last details that you'd want to talk about when it comes to Otherworlds or anything?
No, it's fantastic, and it's a thing I'm happy to be, pitching ideas on.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much for watching. If you want us to do more streams like this or any other ideas that you have in the future, let us know. Be sure to follow us on Twitch, and stay tuned. We plan on putting up an Otherworlds Kickstarter for the core rulebook in the near future. And it looks like we'll also be launching a Patreon in the near future, which I haven't discussed to anyone ever before. But it looks like that will be a thing in the future. So hope to see you guys there. Thank you so much for watching. You've been awesome. Now you get to watch me awkwardly move over to here to tell you bye.
Hey,
bye.
Goodbye, everyone.